You know, it's kind of problematic if you suddenly run out of disk space after recording for about 2.5 hours, so that might possibly explain the time gap between when I actually uploaded videos of this and when I actually continued playing. But we are back with the Talos Principle Road to Gehenna, and thankfully I had enough time in the previous episode to finish reading Alexandra's Choice, so it was almost as if it were naturally ending. This game, this DLC, more like, has a lot of text, I've noticed. A whole bunch of text that requires a whole lot of reading, and I'm not really sure if I want to do it all. I really don't know if I want to do it all. But hey, a little bit of a reading exercise before we actually start making progress on any further puzzles. Hey, it could be harmless. The One Spiritual Law of Happiness by Belial. Once upon a time there was a small lake, and on the lake was an island, and on the island was a prison. In the prison lived a male human called Musky Rack. Musky was very sad because there wasn't enough space in the prison for him to experience happiness. I must discover the one spiritual law of happiness, he said to the other prisoners. A female human called Zene, and a neutral human called Krumpir, but they didn't care. He couldn't understand how they could be so calm. One day, Musky managed to break out of his cell by biting through one of the bars. Now he was no longer in the prison, and for a while he was happy. But then he realized he was stuck on the little island, and he became unhappy again. So he gathered his strength and swam across the water. This is how Musky got to the valley that surrounded the lake. The valley was much bigger than the island, and there were many interesting things here. A forest where all the trees were the color of lasers, a swamp with boats in it, a singing dog, and also a city where toasters lived. For some years, Musky was absorbed by all this, and he was happy. But then he started feeling trapped again. The valley was surrounded by mountains, and soon they looked like prison walls to him. He tried climbing the mountains and came to a bigger country, but even that was surrounded by oceans. Where was true freedom? Where was true happiness? When he'd almost lost hope, Musky met an old male human with a huge amount of white hair growing from his head. He lived in a small house by the beach where dolphins and whales and sea elephants came to bask in the sun. He never went anywhere far from his house, but he was always happy. The old man's name was Quantum. Wise old Quantum, how can I discover the spiritual law of happiness? Musky said. I have searched for it everywhere, but I am always trapped. You have not looked everywhere, Quantum said, for you have not looked within. Close your eyes. Musky closed his eyes, and for the first time in his life, he couldn't see any obstacles. No walls, no mountains, no oceans. The space within him was without end, and he could go wherever he wanted without even moving. He smiled. Musky went back to the old prison where he'd started, and now he understood why Zene and Krumpir were always calm. They knew they had an infinity of time and space to explore within them. Together they sat in their cells and were happy and free. Right, the blacksmith's lost work. Hopefully this one's a bit shorter than the other ones. Nope. Right then. Speed reading time. The Blacksmith's Lost Work by Mac. The_blacksmith is one of the most mysterious members of our community. All of us have our opinions, of course, but only the blacksmith chooses to express them purely through art. To the rest of us, Gehenna means many things at once. We create, we consume, we discuss. But the blacksmith only creates, or perhaps there is a discussion happening, but it all takes place in the realm of interactive art. Blacksmith's dedication to this one form of communication, however, only deepens one of Gehenna's greatest mysteries, the fate of the blacksmith's lost work. Jerusalem, as the lost work was called, was posted in Gehenna for only the briefest period of time. Many had not even managed to start playing it when it vanished. Some had begun, and felt quite impressed, but had not managed to explore it in the depth that it seemed to require. Then suddenly it was gone. Some suggest that the blacksmith deleted it because it was somehow flawed. Others think that it was accidentally destroyed by a glitch, but that the blacksmith refuses to ever upload anything twice. Others yet, well mainly Rockwell, think that it contained one of Elohim's secrets and was destroyed by a killer app that roamed the world looking for leaks. There is also a theory that the moment someone finished it, they were granted some kind of special insight, at which point work deleted itself. One fact remains, it's gone, and every attempt to recover it from the database has failed, as has every private message to the blacksmith asking for it to be made available again. What was Jerusalem? What was it really about? We may look for hints in the blacksmith's more recent works. We may hope the file turns up again someday, but the truth may never be known. I wonder if we have to find the blacksmith's work. That would be kind of interesting. I don't think I have level 6 access just yet, but nope, I'm still level 5, and I think, based off of what I've experienced so far, I can only assume that pretty much every file you read will get you a higher level, and then you can access new files and such, but nah, there's so much reading that has to be done, and I don't want to do it all. Oh god. Since Nave asked in a previous thread, I thought I'd write something about food. Weird, awesome stuff, thanks. I feel smarter now. What I don't get is how many of them didn't understand that they were machines. Every day they just went around processing matters to extract energy, and they didn't realize this has Talos Principle stamped all over it. Perhaps they simply aspired to something more than just being food processing machines. That's still what they were, not if they choose to be more. I'm so glad we don't have to deal with all that. We may have to we may have to when we get out of here. There's no out of here. Don't start fighting, folks. We now... I can't read, as you can plainly see. You know we depend on each other. Mr. Mulsber's theories are fascinating and give us an insight into the world that was, but we shouldn't forget the world that is, the world we built here. Let's read on food. Do you expect me to read all this? Because I am not going to anymore. I am sick of this. If you want to read this, go ahead and pause the video, like right here, and right here, because oh, no, I'm done. I can only do so much, and I basically killed my voice after doing so much reading the previous time I ever recorded, and that's the worst part of everything. So, I'll probably just read this mentally, and you can go ahead and do it yourself, because I am finished. My voice needs mercy from your poor, wretched souls, people. Your lackadaisical approach to these announcements tires me. Please inform us who won. First place, this season vote, and next season's blah 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 blah. It's the blacksmith with his abstract collection. And that is about it seems. Accept direct message. Why am I getting a direct message? Hey. I heard you abstained from the vote. That's cool. All these ranks and numbers must give power to the mathematicians. You and I, we could start a movement. Non-compliance. Bring down the system. What do you say? As I understand it, that is precisely my mission. Good to find another truth seeker in this place. I organized a few people, had Garrett tinker with the system a little, and scored you some decent upvotes. Since you're new here, spend them wisely, and see you at the revolution. Oh, okay then. Yay. And now I'm respected contributor. Let's read on historical occasion! This thread is locked. Some time ago I relinquished my privileges to a new generation of moderators. To help ease that transition, I publicly preserved the minutes of that meeting here, available to our more esteemed members. Let's load the attachment. As you know, Gehenna is still young, yet I grow old. Today it gives me great pleasure to hand over my moderator privileges to Borg, Mr. Mulzenberg, Spider. Thank you, admin. We are all indebted to you for building us this home. We know you will never be far away. Here, the first order of business is to introduce the new status system. We are an inclusive society driven by our users, not our leaders. But it is a shame to allow a very few loud, highly unconstructive voices to dominate the conversation. The status and ranking system allows you to upvote the content that you value and lowers the visibility of users with low standings. Relief equals true. I agree. Good feature. Much requested. Comment is below the status threshold for this thread. We'll be working on ironing out the kinks over the next few run cycles. We have also updated the Gehenna user agreement. Full details can be found in the usual place, but the gist is, please don't behave indecorously. Alright, so from what I can gather, this is all one big private network, sort of forum, quasi-forum-ish thing. And the purpose of this, I guess, is to... I don't know why the Webcon statue is still here. I thought this would be deconstructed because I left the game before and apparently it's still here. I don't know what this means! I heard rumbling in the distance and I still don't understand. Why? What does the leprechaun mean? Well, back to my points. It seems as though that this is all some sort of pseudo-forumish setting on the computers where everyone is trapped, but they decide to be as creative as possible with the resources they have, and they write stories and things like that to make sure they don't get bored to death, but they're all still very trapped. And it's odd. This is a bit of an odd setting, I must say. Gehenna is quite a weird place. A very weird place. Well, I guess... Oh hey, there's people here. They're all standing on pedestals. Are they all shut down? I guess they're shut down. They're not... I don't really think they feel like moving right now. Well, we got 4 people in the previous area, so... I suppose all that's left is to go to area number 2 next. I think this time I'm gonna focus on maybe doing about half of the puzzles, and then I might probably just take a break from then, so that way I don't stretch out this recording for far too long. Because... oh god, 2.5 hours of recording, even more than that. Like, the videos might not show it entirely, because I did cut out bits and pieces of footage there, but that was a lot of recording, and it killed me. It really did kill me. I was dead for about half of the day afterwards because I just could barely talk and my voice hurts. My throat, my vocal cords were stretched upon oblivion beyond this imperfect world that we exist in. It transformed into something that exists in a new dimension where it could not be bound by human limitations, and thus it could not move because it had no power source, or something like that. That's just me rambling again. Oh hey, it's Egypt. So I think it's safe to assume we might be going back to Egypt again, and I guess I don't mind. I kind of missed Egypt, you know? Didn't get enough of that in Series 7 3. If there's something I could comment on, though, Talos Principle makes Egypt look a bit more appealing than Series 7 3. I can say that much. I'm not sure if that's just because of the settings, of how it's more peaceful, or if it's because... if it's because it's in the Series Engine 4. Could be both, I guess. Whoa. Alright, this looks really, really neat. I love how open these areas are. And this is all one giant puzzle. Oh boy, this is gonna be fun. Well, there's a star there. And I guess that's it. I guess that's just progress for a star. I can only assume that much because I'm not really sure if there are any messengers out here. Or robots. I guess I'm not really sure if I should call them messengers or just plain robots.